So I was browsing the internet and I came across this clip from the Joe Rogan Experience where he's interviewing Matt Taibi about the 2008 financial crisis. I guess a little bit of background on Matt Taibi. He's an award-winning journalist. He has a podcast called Useful Idiots with Katie Halper. It's pretty good. You should check it out if you haven't. And but yeah, also some background on the 2008 financial crisis probably be important, right? Let me actually pull some of that up right now. The financial crisis of 2007 to 2008, also known as the global financial crisis, was a severe worldwide economic crisis prior to the COVID-19 recession in 2020. It was considered by many economists to have been the most serious financial crisis since the Great Depression. Lax financial regulation, excessive risk-taking by banks, and the bursting of the United States housing bubble culminated in the plummet in valuations of mortgage-backed securities, which were tied to American real estate. So basically, long story short, man, if you know, 2008, millions of people lost their jobs, lost their houses, and it was all due to this, it's all due to some, chicanery that's going on with the banks and the financial sector in general, Wall Street. I will do a terrible job in explaining it. So, let's let Matt actually take it away with the explanation. And so this is Matt Taibi, and I think it was 2018 on Joe Rogan's podcast, explaining specifically this part I want to go into is how the banks specifically targeted black elderly people to screw over in the crisis. So let's go through that. And on the other side, I want to discuss more about it. So let's go.
But particularly that, because a lot of it was old people that
oh
went
my
under.
God, old people, minorities. I did one story about a bank in Maryland. Well, it's a national bank. It's a bank that I wouldn't be surprised that a lot of people listening have their accounts at this bank. They had to pay a settlement to the government because they were intentionally targeting elderly black people to sell subprime mortgages to, and they called them mud people. And there were all these like toxic emails going back and forth about how stupid they were and how they'll buy anything, et cetera, et cetera.
In the emails, they called them mud people?
Yeah. And so they had to pay a settlement to the government. But the racial component of that crash was something that I didn't really clue into until late, but that was a big part of it too. It was, a lot of it involved these mortgage lenders going into particularly like lower middle class black neighborhoods and knocking on doors where there'd be like an elderly person at home and saying, hey, would you like to refi your mortgage? And you'll have a little bit of extra spending money this month, right? And the person won't know anything about finance, and they'll sign this refinance deal that allows them to save a little bit of money each month, not knowing that they had just converted their fixed mortgage into a floating mortgage, and that as soon as the interest rates changed, you'd have people who went from paying $900 a month to paying $7,000 a month, right? And suddenly they're out in the street, and the company that sold them the loan is long gone by then. They're not holding it. They, as soon as they got her name on the dotted line, they sold it off to a bank in New York, who in turn again chopped it up into hamburger and sold it probably to your pension fund or whatever. So there's nobody she can complain to, and that stuff was really depressing.
Yeah, man. So I guess we'll just leave it there for now. But this really happened, y'all. This is first of all, obviously this is ridiculous, man. But I kind of want to get into more of a reflective mode of thinking on this, right? I'm 30 now. So in 2008, I was 18. At that time, I didn't own anything. I wasn't even working, right? You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really see the effects of the 2008 financial crisis like deeply, like some people might have, and people, especially people older, like actually, deep into the workforce and trying owning houses and all that kind of stuff, right? So there's a lot of people, we're grown now. This is we're the grown age now, so I just kind of want to try and give context to possibly your childhood, if you remember growing up being at your grandma's house, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden some major shift happened around this time, right? You know what I'm saying? This is the kind of things that, this kind of stuff that happens that's out of your control, you know what I'm saying, that has a major effect on your life and you wouldn't even know, a major trajectory, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of, you know, wealth equity is carried in homes for average Americans, right? And us black people, we're getting, you know what I'm saying, bamboozled out of our, you know what I'm saying, out of our equity nonstop, right? And if you notice, there's some really interesting key points to this to me, but I'll go into those in a second as well. I want to kind of give this a little more context. So this right here is a report from the National Low Income Housing Coalition, right? So this report shows African Americans lost half their wealth due to a housing crisis and unemployment. And this was, you know, back in 2013, but this was, you know what I'm saying, in the wake of the, you know, the 2008. I mean, yeah, right. So going into this, the state of housing in Black America explores recent housing trends in the African American community, including high rates of foreclosures and failing rates of home ownership, the impacts of these trends for current and future generations, and concludes by advocating for improved policies to address the needs of housing in Black America. So yeah, man, this is all, you know, if you, like I said, you know, check this, you can just type this into Google, check this report out yourself. But the main point I want to get to is, like I said, man, we don't own nothing, man. And, you know, like, it's another example of, you know, why critical race theory is totally valid and it makes sense, right? This was a systemic issue, right? You know what I'm saying? You heard that bank was calling us mud people, bro. You know what I'm saying? Targeting elderly black people, you know what I'm saying, that they thought didn't know, you know, didn't understand the difference between a fixed interest and floating, right? You know what I'm saying? And I didn't understand the difference between those things either, you know, until, I don't know, 2 years ago or something like that. Like, you know, so it's just like, I don't know, man. It's it doesn't have to be this way, man. That the thought of, you know, a lot of people, I know there are people out there be like, well, they should just learn, but they should just, nah, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not the problem. The problem is the greedy people, you know, targeting, you know what I'm saying, our people. You get what I mean? And what's interesting, if you notice what Matt said, if you notice what Matt got into in the story, he mentioned, right, that that bank had to pay out a settlement to the government, right? Do you think that had any that went towards your pockets, towards your family? Nah, you know what I'm saying? There was no, you know, even though the government knows that we're being systematically oppressed, right? You know what I'm saying? They were fined for it. There was no policies put in place to reverse what happened. There's nothing that was done to reverse those, you know what I'm saying, to reunite us back with that wealth, that equity, those homes. You get what I'm saying? And like I said, that's me pointing out all the problems. That's what we just did here. But so what are the solutions, right? I'm going to be like a broken record with this, but again, join the co-op. What a cooperative is, a worker-owned co-op, or, you know, just learn about the idea of cooperatives. You know what I'm saying? Like the answer is doing this together as a community. You know, we need ownership, you know, especially if you're a regular person, you mop floors, you bartend, you know what I'm saying, you work in the restaurant industry, whatever, you know, service industry, anything like that, man, saying we are the, you know, you need ownership, equity over your lives, over your jobs, the place you spend 8 hours of your day, your job. You know what I'm saying? You need, you know, we need to start building housing cooperatives. You know what I'm saying? We need to start owning together, right? You know what I'm saying? And with that democracy, you know what I'm saying, in place, it definitely dilutes the power. The problem is the power is concentrated at the top. So these people at the top get to do whatever they want. You know what I mean? And we have to dilute their power. How do we dilute power, right? By giving you power, by giving you more power over your own life, more decision making. That's what ownership is. Ownership, all equity is giving you a seat at the table to make decisions over your own life in all aspects, right? You know what I'm saying? Especially, you know, you deserve to be able to be at seat at the table when it comes to your job, the place you spend most of your adult life. You know, say you putting your hard work, blood, sweat, and tears into making better, right? You know what I'm saying? You deserve a seat at the table, and ain't nobody gonna give it to you. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta, you know, you ain't gotta ask them for a seat at the table at their place. You know what I'm saying? We build our own, right? You know what I'm saying? Build our own, you know what I mean? Cooperatively together. It's a lot easier to do it by yourself. This concept isn't new. I didn't invent this. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make it popular though. So, right, like I said, MartyandtheBro.com, join the co-op. And yeah, man, I just wanted to bring this to attention and kind of, you know, make you think about your past more so than, you know, maybe you gave it attention before, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that are outside of your control that affects your life in ways you may, you may never know. And this is another example of why it is really important to, know your history, especially getting into politics. Because the problem with a big problem with our parents, their generation, is that, no respect to, I love the fam, right? But they ain't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? They ain't, they didn't have as easy access to information as we do now, right? But all they had to go off of was the propaganda, on TV, basically. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't know no better a lot of times, right? You know what I'm saying? But we have the ability to know. We have the ability to see things like this and to understand the mechanisms in place to screw us over, right? You know what I'm saying? We could do something about it. So stay informed. You know what I mean? And always, ain't nothing wrong with backtracking. Look, you see an old video, click on it, man. You know what I mean? You might learn something new, right? So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you right now. Like I said, make sure you check out the co-op, and yeah, I'll take it easy. Yo, you like what you just saw? Make sure you like, share, subscribe so the algorithms can algorithm or whatever sorcery they do. Follow us on our socials, links all down in the description, and let's keep rocking.